Warning, this video has spoilers for Blue Lock on the 20 arc and Haikyuu, so watch at your own discretion. You've been warned.
Blue Lock is the defining sports anime of the 2020s. Similar to Blue Lock, Haikyuu was the defining sports anime of the 2010s. These two anime have some of the best sports arc in anime history. Under 20 for Blue Lock and Tokyo Nationals for Haikyuu. In this video, we're going to go over which one is better. The criteria that are going to be used are wow factor, which is a combination of how good the matches are and the hype moments are. Next, we have storytelling and how great that is. And lastly, we have pacing and how it affects the portrayal of the arc. Best out of 3 wins. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's appreciated. So yeah, let's see which one of these sports arc is better. I believe there are 2 types of sports anime. The first type are the practical ones. In this group, we have shows like Slam Dunk, Ace of Diamond, and Run with the Wind. Shows like these tend to be more grounded in reality, often placing more of an emphasis on things like technical skills and teamwork, while staying within the boundaries of the real-world sports they are based on. Some of them stay so close to the realm of realism that at times it feels like there's no difference between the anime you're watching and the actual sports. Practical sports anime can even go as far as getting people to pick up an interest in the sports they are based off. I mean, I definitely checked out volleyball during this year's Olympics, and that's solely because I started to watch Haikyuu earlier in the year. That's how much of an effect it had on me. Practical sports anime are just that intriguing, and anyone that's watched any of these shows I mentioned earlier understands what I mean. The second type of sports anime are the extreme ones. In this group, we have shows like Prince of Tennis, Yuri on Ice, and Kuroko no Basket. These shows go beyond the scope of realism when it comes to the actual sports, and there's different ways they tend to do this, either through over-the-top exaggerated skills, unorthodox training and techniques, and even crazy batshit abilities. Out of all the extreme sports anime, I believe no show does this better than Blue Lock. Let's just call it what it is. Blue Lock is a battle shonen with football being the power system. Hold up, hear me out, let me explain. With the power system aspect, whether it's Isagi's spatial awareness, or Ryo's chameleon ability, or Baru's villainous soccer, all these skills and abilities being used are just about close to the typical shonen abilities as it gets. They damn near have the same effect as, let's say, Naruto using a Rasengan, Sanji using the Diablo Jambe to boost his attacks, or Goku firing a Kamehameha. And if you're not convinced, Flow State is basically a domain expansion mixed with turning Super Saiyan at the same time. Come on bro, we know what it is. It's like damn near a buff. So yeah, Blue Lock, established power system, check. Next, super weak protagonist at the start of the show with an extremely ambitious goal, check. Rivalries with other characters, we have 2 of this, one with Rin, one with Baru, double check. And lastly, epic battles. I mean, just look at the way matches go. It's usually a 1v1 between characters that lead up to scoring. It's damn near as close as you can get to people fighting each other. So yeah, check. Blue Lock has every core aspect that you see in any successful battle shonen. And that's why Blue Lock resonates with so many people. All of this talk about Blue Lock being a battle shonen, it comes from a place of praise, not from criticism. Because whether you like it or not, you take the best aspects of being a battle shonen, you take the best aspects of being a sports anime, you combine both of them, and what do you get? Blue Lock. That's why it works so well and appeals to a large audience. Because of this, when it comes to wow factor, which is a combination of the hype moments in the arc and the matches, Blue Lock exceeds in this aspect. You look at the under 20 arc and it's just peak after peak after peak after peak after peak. Firstly, let's talk about the match itself. The under 20 Japanese team versus the Blue Lock 11. If I had to compare it to something, I'd say it's like Luffy versus Lucci or Ichigo versus Byakugan. The hero or the protagonist is definitely the underdog going into the fight and must prove they can compete, let alone win against the opponent. And as we know with the aforementioned fights, battles that frame like this are always extremely thrilling. Aspects like our protagonist catching the enemy off guard and showing their threats, to the antagonist rallying back and having our protagonist on the ropes, to finally the protagonist being able to squeeze out victory when you least expect it. The under 20 arc in Blue Lock does all of this and some more. I mean, it does this so well that Blue Lock feels like a battle shonen when you're watching this under 20 match. This under 20 match felt no different from any fight you see in any battle shonen. I mean, some of the moments in the match, like Shido's goal or Nani's stunning equalizer or Ring going into the flow, just as peak as the best moments he gets in fights in popular battle shonens. With all these moments in the under 20 match, you can easily feel the tension and the stakes from the very first whistle all the way to the last whistle. This is just peak stuff, and I honestly feel I'm not doing a great enough job explaining how peak this under 20 match is. I hope the anime fixes up and gives the under 20 match the proper treatment it deserves, because for it to be butchered, it's gonna be a crime. A sad, sad crime. Now, for the Tokyo Nationals, this is a much longer arc, and there are about 7 to 9 total matches in this arc. All of them range from good to amazing for the most part, but I'll say only 3 really capture a peak sense of tension and hype. Those are Karasuno vs Inarizaki, Karasuno vs Nekoma, and Karasuno vs Kamomedai. I know I butchered the names of those schools, but I'm not Japanese, so y'all please be easy on me. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not Japanese, so y'all leave me alone. But those 3 matches are absolutely insane and are peak. I mean, just look at this scene from Karasuno vs Nekoma. If you haven't watched the new Haikyuu movie, you're missing out. It's peak. You need to watch it. Like, go watch that movie as soon as you're done with this video. Now, this doesn't mean that the matches and the hype moments of the matches in the Tokyo National arc is carried by the animation. No, not at all. I read the manga and they are just as hype in the manga. As a matter of fact, I actually read the manga of Tokyo Nationals before watching the anime because I knew I was going to make this video. And as you all know, we also the trailer of the under 20 arc in Blue Lock. So I was like, yeah, I can't really allow animations, cloud my bias. So I was like, I'm going to read the manga of both arcs to judge properly. So most of my notes is from a manga perspective. And that's just strictly to make things more fair and balanced when comparing both arcs. And yeah, the Tokyo Nationals arc is also peak in the manga. I read a lot of these matches and I was actually crying. I was like, bro, oh my god, like this shit is so good. From Nishinoya's back heel save to Hinata's insane rally or Kageyama's ballsy moment, yup, this arc is nothing short of insane moments. Even little things like the former Little Giant or Karasuno showing up between the game between the 2 Little Giants and Hoshihumi flexing in between the games, the Tokyo Nationals did not disappoint at all. Another thing with the under 20 and the Tokyo National arc is that we get to see a lot of character development in the matches. From seeing Shido absolutely embrace his role as the villain and try to single-handedly take out Blue Lock, to watching Tanaka overcome the struggles of having a stinker of a game, shaking it off and eventually stepping up for his team. A lot of this development and many more for other characters are absolutely amazing and made both arcs very interesting. I decided to put the character development aspect here in the wow factor category, and that's mostly because the character development is so intertwined with a lot of the hype moments in both arcs. I mean, whether it's a crazy goal or a crazy spike, that technically is a hype moment. It's the nature of sports anime. I mean, that's just how things work. You tend to get a lot of the character developments whilst these moments are going on. And like I said, these are hype moments, these are peak moments happening in the flow of the match. So they technically fall in the category of wow factor instead of storytelling. So that's why I'm mentioning them here instead. Both arcs are fighting neck and neck for which one is better when it comes to wow factor. But this has to go to the under 20 arc of Blue Lock. And the reason why is because, well, all the hype moments is just packaged way better for the audience. Let's face it, the reason why anime is so popular in the first place is because of battle shonen shows. Love it or hate it, but battle shonen shows are the poster child for anime. No other genre of anime packages fight and hype moments as well as battle shonen. And like I said, Blue Lock knows how to be a battle shonen, so a lot of the hype moments and the match itself, it's packaged very well and made it seem like a battle shonen. And that's why I give it the edge here, because I said it's packaged better and is presented way better to the audience compared to the Tokyo Nationals for Haikyuu. This is not to say that the hype moments of Tokyo Nationals are not great or peak, but the hype moments in Blue Lock under 20 are just packaged better for the audience, which makes it more pleasing to either read or watch. So yeah, the wow factor goes to the under 20 arc, and the score is 1-0 in this video, for which is the better sports anime arc. If you've ever watched Haikyuu, you know that Hinata gives 100% on everything. Mentioning 100% is really selling him short. Speaking of shorts, let's just say that being 5'5" comes with a lot of hurdles when trying to play volleyball. This has never stopped, let alone discouraged Hinata. We've seen how he was able to cement himself as a starter and be a key piece for Karasuno, a team that was able to defeat the volleyball powerhouse Shira Torizawa. Actually, wait, Shira Torizawa. Okay, I think I got that one. I didn't butcher that one, so yeah, I think I'm good. But yeah, they beat Shira Torizawa. But yeah, they beat them and they were able to get to the Tokyo Nationals. Still, all of this was not enough. Not only was Hinata not invited to the Miyagawa training camp, but he was told that he actually is really not that good and is a useless volleyball player by the coach of the camp. All the work and effort up to that point, and to be told, yeah, you're not that good, you're useless. That's a real gut punch, especially when one of your own teammates was selected to the same camp and another teammate was selected to a different camp for the best under 19 players in Japan. It'll be a very natural reaction if you start to question yourself and your faith is even a little bit shaken. I don't know if you noticed that while watching the arc, but what a seamless way to set up a training montage without it being long or cumbersome. A good chunk of the beginning of Tokyo Nationals is the players training and getting better for the upcoming tournament. And this whole storyline with Hinata just fit in so well. Instead of doing something like another mini camp we got earlier in the show, we got to see Hinata develop as a character instead. We're taking through his perspective with him having to swallow his pride and make the most of a toxic situation, which he was able to do. We got to see Hinata grow more as the camp went on. All of this was mostly because he had to take a step back and become more observant. Filling up the downtime between the spring tournament and the Tokyo Nationals with a training arc that helped develop the main character of the story could have easily been generic and boring. Instead, it was unique and awesome. Not only that, but we also got teased about what to expect from the Tokyo Nationals, and that was done through Kageyama's perspective. We got introduced to one of the Miya twins and Hoshihumi. The hype for the tournament in Tokyo was being built up at the same time as Hinata was getting some of the best character developments you see for any main character. And what's very impressive is that both of these plot points were being done at the same time seamlessly, which is very hard to do. There's no way around it. That's just amazing writing and you have to praise it for what it is. Let's fast forward to the actual tournament in the Nationals. The Nationals played out in a crescendo style writing. The tournament started up with Karasuno playing a feeder school called Tsubakihara in the first round. After this, the stakes were increased to tenfold. Karasuno had to play in Arizaki, the second ranked volleyball school in the whole nation. And when you're watching this, it's like, oh shit, it's about to get down. Like, shit is getting real right now. That match finishes and it's almost like, how is this gonna get top? Like, they just played the second ranked team in the nation. But we then move on to Karasuno playing Nekoma, their internal rivals. Anyone that pays any attention to sports knows that rivalry games are the hardest games to play mentally and physically. A rivalry game is always highly competitive and very emotional. And after that game, you're like, okay, Karasuno has damn near played everybody that they could play. Who could they play in the next round that would be like a very tough opponent? After the Nekoma match, Karasuno played Kamomedai. At first glance, you might think, who are these niggas? Like, it obviously can't be a match as hard as anyone Karasuno has played before. But Hoshihumi plays for that school, and that's a big deal. The reason why is because Hoshihumi is basically Hinata but better. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's like he does everything Hinata can do but better, and he can even do more stuff, like stuff that Hinata can never do. It's actually kind of crazy. It's like a clone of you that's just better than you. Not only that though, the team's actually built perfectly around him and maximizes his strengths and skills. This is done by them being the best blocking nation in the whole of Japan. And if you've watched Haikyuu, you know that this is actually a problem for Karasuno, because Data gave them problems early on. Like, they struggle against teams that are very, very good at blocking. So it's actually a perfect counter for Karasuno's fast-paced style that they like to play. And that is just good writing. The crescendo style of building up different opponents and just getting the readers more invested as the matches go on. There's honestly so many other things I could even rave about that shows how great the storytelling of the Tokyo National arc is, but I'll just leave at this. I'm talking about the ending. The ending of the arc was definitely one of the most unexpected conclusions you could get to an arc. I was damn near in tears when I was reading the ending because I was like, wow, no way. It's ending like this? Like everything is ending like this? It felt like watching the Real in 3 from a Spurs fan's perspective. Even worse, it felt like watching the Rodrigo header from a Man City's fan's perspective. Yeah, it still hurts to this day. Even if we did beat them 4-0 the next season, but yeah, at that moment, that shit hurts. Earlier in the video, I said practical sports anime tend to stay within the boundary of real-world sports. I believe the Tokyo National arc merges with real-world sports. From a writing and storytelling perspective, is damn near as perfect as it gets. Now, for the storytelling of the Under 20 arc. My first thought is that the storytelling gets the job done as well as you would expect. I said that the main highlight of storytelling in this arc is the dynamic between Rin and Sei. Mostly because that's the main plot point that had been built up leading into the match. Igo chose to have Team Blue Lock built around Rin instead of Shido. He's the main star of the team, and the whole match between Blue Lock and the Japan Under 20 happened in the first place because of Sei. So yeah, we definitely had to find out what the whole thing was between them. And once we got the backstory, it's basically like a Sasuke to Itachi dynamic. It's good, but it's not obviously like the original. Like, it doesn't have that build up and development to it, but it's still good. It's solid, it's well done, and the writing for that plot point is well done and enhances the storytelling of the arc. Another plot point that is also well done is that of Igo. I actually like Igo as a character, like the way he is, his vibe, like his whole gamble for Blue Lock to be the new Japanese team. Yeah, like I like him, like he's good. So getting more from him in this arc and again a bit into his character was definitely a good writing choice. If you've watched the show, you know that he's one of the more interesting characters in Blue Lock. Aside from that, those are really the main plot points of the arc. And as I said, it's good, it's great, it gets the job done. Actually, I want to mention one more thing. One thing that's great storytelling was when Isagi was talking to the friend after the end of the match, and his friend only saying that, oh yeah, Isagi, you got lucky because the ball fell to you. And Isagi is reflecting on everything he's had to go through during Blue Lock. Everybody just sees the results. Nobody sees the 99.9999% hard work you have to put in to get to that point. So yeah, using that to show that, oh yeah, you know, nobody sees the results. They just show you when you've made it. That's great storytelling. I really felt that. I was like, yeah, you know, W Usagi. So yeah, the storytelling of Blue Lock, very good, very nice. Now, which one is better? The storytelling of the Under 20 arc or the storytelling of Tokyo Nationals? The storytelling of the Under 20 arc is mostly to support the match itself. It doesn't really go out of its way to do anything extravagant or anything too crazy. Meanwhile, you look at the storytelling of the Tokyo Nationals, there's so many plot points, it's very unique, it's very fresh, the backstories are amazing. Most of the main characters get fleshed out very well. I don't think the storytelling of Tokyo Nationals is solely to carry any match. Like, the storytelling stretches across the whole arc and it's great from beginning to end. Like, you watch the arc and the storytelling jumps out at you. So I have to give the storytelling to Tokyo Nationals here. I feel like it's more engaging, it does more things, like it's just more gripping, like it's more expansive. For storytelling, I give the score to Tokyo Nationals. I believe it does more. It's just not solely to carry the matches. Like, there's more to the storytelling than just simply the matches. Like, it does a whole lot more. And with that, the score is tied 1-1 heading to the final category. I've always said it. Pacing is the most important aspect when it comes to an arc. It's like a road trip. Speed through everything and you miss all the interesting sights along the way. Stop too often or go too slowly and you'll never reach your destination. There are so many arcs that will be held in much higher regard if the pacing was just good, not even great. I know this arc has a lot of other problems aside from pacing, but just imagine if Wano had Egghead Island pacing, let alone Marineford pacing. It'd be a way better arc. That aside, I like to say that the pacing for the Under 20 arc and the Tokyo National arc are both great. In both arcs, rarely does it feel like it's dragging along too much or everything is moving too fast. And I actually believe that a good reason why these arcs are great in the first place is because the arcs have amazing pacing. You might not really think about it, but cutting away to IQ's flashback during the Under 20 match is an example of slowing the pacing and allowing the viewers to sink in what's going on. The game was extremely tense at that point, and giving the audience a quick breather was a great way to slow things down. Even if it was just for brief moments, that's an example of great pacing. There's also examples of great pacing in Tokyo Nationals too. Instead of just filling the downtime between Karasuno's matches with boring filler, we got a match for Nekoma. This was a great way of speeding up the pacing and getting things moving to build up the anticipation going forward, especially since the next match was between Karasuno versus Nekoma. There's just multiple instances you can point to in both arcs where it's like, oh, that's great pacing, like things are moving as they should. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. And that's why this is so hard. Like, this is the hardest category to judge. Both arcs have relatively good to great pacing. I don't really know how to separate both arcs, to be honest. Like, this is a very hard category to judge. And it occurred to me, Tokyo Nationals is technically a final arc. I mean, I know there's an epilogue arc right after it, but it's technically like a final arc. It's no difference from Naruto's 4th Ninja Great War, or Demon Slayer's Infinity Castle, or My Hero's final arc. Like, it's a final war arc, technically, if you get what I mean. And what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about these arcs? For me, is terrible pacing. In all of these arcs I mentioned, there's points where things are moving either too fast or too slow. So for Tokyo Nationals to have little to zero issues with pacing, I think that's a huge feat. Like, you don't see that a lot when it comes to final arcs. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I even bringing this up in the first place? In an anime culture that likes to bash anything for whatever reason, it has to be noted that not botching a final arc is the outlier, because most final arcs are botched for the most part. Like, there's always something bad you can complain about. Like, most final arcs are not as good as the other arcs in the show. Like, they're typically bad to average, let's just be honest. They might have great aspects, but most of them are very uneven. And like I said, for Tokyo Nationals to not fall into this category, that's the outlier. That's not the norm. So for me, I kind of have to highlight this because this is something that will get glossed over by a lot of people. And for me, this is what pushes Tokyo Nationals over on the 20 when it comes to pacing. There's a lot of things being juggled in this arc, from the training at the beginning to all the matches to all the downtime between the matches. Like, there's a lot going on in this arc. And for everything to be handled very well and neatly, that is commendable. Like, this could have easily gone very wrong and fallen flat. Like, we see that a lot with other arcs. Like, things just fall apart. That didn't happen here at all. And yeah, I gotta give extra brownie points for that. Mind you, this has nothing to do with the length of the arc. You're just choosing Tokyo Nationals because it's a longer arc and it does a good job having good pacing for a long arc. Even if that's true, that's not the point. It's like, that has no weight in this argument at all. Again, like I said, if Tokyo Nationals was a normal arc in the story, this whole thing about having good to great pacing, I wouldn't have really cared about that, but it's a final arc. I had to bring that up. That is something that is an outlier. Simply choosing to ignore something as important as this is being ingenuous. Tokyo Nationals being a final arc and having good to great pacing is commendable. Like, a lot of others are trash when it comes to pacing. You know what? Name me 5 final arcs that have great to good pacing. Like, comment down 5 arcs. If you can comment down 5 arcs aside from Tokyo Nationals, I'll give you that. I'll be like, okay, you got it, chief. So give me 5 arcs, 5 final arcs that have good to great pacing. So when it comes to pacing, Tokyo National takes this category, which gives the final score 2-1, with Tokyo Nationals being the better arc. Still though, both arcs are phenomenal. The Under 20 and the Tokyo National arcs are among the best sports arcs out there. All of this is just my opinion though. Let me know which arc you think is better, and let me know which other sports arcs are amazing. Yeah, that's all for me. Peace.